one of the things that resonates with me so well is getting lost in the distractions, getting lost in the sauce, getting so gravitated into the screen, into everything that separates you from yourself. So let's think of this place as a spiritual playground. And if you take the playground too serious, you throw temper tantrums, you get angry, you get emotionally distraught, things start going wrong, and if we know, the vibrational reality, that things will start to backfire because of the energy you're putting off, and you'll start switching timelines to a, worse reality, I guess, or something along the lines of that. You start manifesting whatever way you want to look at it. So getting lost in the sauce. I sit here again today in enjoyment of the small things and doing what I love and create. And doing what I love probably isn't exciting to 98% of the population. Or, well, I'll give myself 10% of the population is probably just like me. Musical, likes to study, likes to whatever, actually more than 10%. What am I saying? So regardless, those small things that I've been doing, living in my childhood imagination, having it evolve now to adulthood imagination, being a mature, responsible adult, but at the same time, still having that childlike ability to use my mind and imagine things and create my own worlds in my head. Without, say, getting delusional. Because I think the real delusion is getting lost outside of yourself. It's getting lost into the screen. It's getting pulled away from your own soul. What I'm saying is you should love what you love regardless. Go back into what you were into when you were a kid or younger, before you were, say, contaminated by the influences of the outside and society. And when I speak like this too, I'm not saying to ignore the world's issues or to just, in the laws of transurfing, it's like don't avoid things, just ignore them, but be conscious of things, just so if there's going to be a bomb drop, make sure you can drive or run to the safest possible place there is. So obviously there's a lot of common sense within this, and I want to make it clear that anytime I talk like this, it comes from I'm a common sense person, but someone from the outside might say, you look into conspiracy, you like astrology, you like a cult, whatever. It's like, yeah, but you believe in a guy on a cross, or you believe in a guy on top of a North Pole, like whatever, when you were younger. Like, we all have our things that we believe in that can be questioned. And I kind of should have just put it simply, even like religions, you can consider some sort of delusion, depending on how it was interpreted by the person. So you can put it in this way, that to get lost in your delusion, but the delusion that serves your soul. You're not hurting anybody, you're not, losing your mind. But losing your mind might be a good thing in a sense of losing your mind that they gave you. And that's the point. Get back into your own childhood imagination. Get back into your soul and yourself. And that's how you serve humanity. You serve humanity by being yourself. These aren't just cutesy sayings, like, once again, those simple, like, one-liners, those proverbs and shit like that, like Chinese proverb and whatever. All the cultures have a piece of the pie. They all hold a truth, but there's levels to seeing it. There's levels of consciousness. There's an ability to see through the veil. How far can you see through the veil? So, spiritual playground. Have fun. Be who you are. Love what you do. Society makes it hard. Yes, 150,000% that society is built to actually destroy that part of you. So what I'm saying is these are the changes that must be made. This is the focus. It's not finding, Bilderberg or George Bush, knocked down or applied at the 7-Eleven job application, or whatever else. If this event was real, if this was fake, if the government did it, okay, it's fine if you enjoy that. But if it's dragging you away from yourself, if it's something that you're coming from a place of fear, and even if you think that you're doing something good for humanity, I mean, I guess the revealing of things, the unveiling of things are useful. They to an extent they are, but there also comes a point where it's to get in touch back with yourself and the artistic side of yourself, the creative side of yourself. What do they always say about God in these religions? Is that he's a creator, and we were created in the image of him. And so, what would that say about us? To create. And that goes in line with anything. That goes in line with music. It goes in line with drawing. It goes in line with a video on YouTube. It goes in an article. I mean, it's creating. It doesn't matter what form of creating, but where are you using your imagination? Where are you on the playground? Are you sitting in the corner or on top of the slide because you're losing the game and it's unfair and it's bullshit and fuck those other kids and you don't want to play anymore and you give up and all that, and if you don't want to be in the playground, then you got to figure out, maybe go pick another part of the land to go play your own games. If you don't like this game, if you don't like the big slides and the expensive swings and all that other stuff, But it's a playground. I do really resonate with that perspective at this moment. It's a playground. It's a place where you come to learn through having and obtain the five senses in the body. Having this experience puts a microscope on your soul, and it gets you in touch with your environment. And the only way you'd be able to shift your frequency would be as if you could feel things and interact with things, and that's why you're here. And then once you have figured that out, then once you've reached a state of peace and acceptance of life and who you are and where you're going and what you're supposed to be doing, that's God's blueprint for you. I don't believe it's some guy on a planet looking down and making sure that if you don't do something, if you don't go to his house on Sunday, if you don't praise this guy and that guy, that he's going to smite you. No, the only work to be done is to discover yourself, and God is already kind of we always think of him as a person and a guy. I hear someone right now that's not free will then, or that someone else doesn't dictate my life. It's no. In a sense, the intelligence of the universe and your soul and your frequency, there is a homeostasis, a Schumann's resonance to your soul, and you have to find that, and that was God's destiny for you. But it's not something that you're gonna, it's all knowing. It's going to be actually what you love, and you don't have to see it that way. I'm just saying, find a different way to see it. Find a different philosophy and perspective. Put a different image to it. It doesn't matter what name you give it and how you put it. Doesn't matter. And this is what resonates with me now. Remember what I said at the beginning. It's purely speculation. It's always about expanding my mind and not saying I'm right about anything, but these are current states of where my mind is at, and it's ideas I like to share because who knows if someone else would resonate with it and it would change the way they think just by having some thought experiments. I mean, it's kind of like my new niche. It's like thought experiments. Experiment with ways of thinking. Feel things out. Don't be so fixed. Don't be so rigid. And I would say, as I'm going to start practicing, and maybe for anybody else who needs to hear it, to practice the perspective that it's a spiritual playground for your soul where you learn lessons, you learn how to lose, you learn how to win, you learn how the game plays, you learn how to just go swing on the swing, sometimes by yourself in the corner, sometimes with a person you love, and you share whatever, it's God, man, analogies and all that. No wonder why the Bible and all those stories were written in parables and images and ways to understand things that the left brain couldn't understand, because that's just words and and gook when it comes to just A to Z and whatever. But the right brain is like pictures, images, stories, understanding things from a bigger picture. Sagittarius, Gemini, right brain Sag, a bigger worldview. Gemini, down to the details. Yeah. I mean, and thanks to astrology, which taught me that symbols hold water. They give you a deeper meaning, because sometimes just a few sentences or a textbook can't tell you. Sometimes it's the way that your mind will interact with the symbols and the images and the stories and what comes from it and what integrates into your consciousness through those things. It's a spiritual playground. Don't take it so serious. I think that's a huge section of the awakening, process. And on top of that, realizing that the reality screen, like the only enemy technically is yourself, but it's reflected through the reality screen, through the quantum Imax to distract you and get you away from yourself. And that's the game. Now, if you want to think it's some evil force that's after you, that's whatever works for you, I would say. Like if that causes fear, like don't think of it that way. Because either way, if you know or you don't, whether it's an evil force or not, that it's being done on purpose to you, I don't think you would change the way you do it. To me, like I don't think that would. I'd still think I'd go about this all the same way, whether you know what evil thing is there or it's just kind of like a fucking a grade in school, and we're all at different levels, like high school, like as if school was some sort of fractal of the soul journey. 12 months of the year, 12 grades, 12 musical scales, 12 systems of the body. You know how it goes. 12 disciples. Numbers repeat. Fractals. Fractal universe. Holographic. I mean, it all makes just too much sense once my mind starts going. It's what gets me to want to record. But spiritual playground. Learn your lessons. Have fun. Whatever works for you. Whatever imagery. Whatever stories. Whatever narratives. Whatever inspires you. And then when the pain comes, just know that you probably needed it to... Dragon Ball Z taught me this. That their pain always allows them to push through their limits and evolve. So, anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll be back.